How we doing today? What's going on? Welcome to the replay. Welcome to Daily Fuel. My name is Bobby and I'm the host of this group. And you are clearly in the replay because nobody's here yet. There you go. There's one. Mikey, hey man, what's going on? Nice to see you. You used to be like the first person commenting all the time, and then I hadn't seen you in a while. So it's good to see you. Welcome to Daily Fuel. So So if you're not Mikey, welcome to the replay. And so here's how this works. So this is Daily Fuel. I do this live every day, every weekday, and all the members of the group are welcome to join live or in the replay, and you're all welcome to comment, join in the discussion, add your 2 cents. So I've got a thing I'm going to do in a minute about the topic of the day, and then I go through it and I ignore all the comments, but you guys can keep commenting if you're live the whole time that I'm talking. And when I'm done with my thing, I come back and I read all the comments, and that's how this show works. It's a very complex show. So now, by the way, something that very interesting to me. I came up with the idea of the Art of Self Sabotage to do today, and then you know how on Facebook you go on Facebook and it shows you your memories from like 1 year ago, 5 years ago, whatever, many years ago, and it showed me a memory from Jesus. All of a sudden the light just got really bright. It showed me a memory from 1 year ago where I did a Daily Fuel on self-sabotage. I was like, because I knew I did one once before, and it was exactly a year ago. So that was really weird. Did you see that? Did the light just, all of a sudden, it was just like somebody went right in my face. Wait, what happened here? Why would that have happened? I don't know. That's weird. So anyway, I'll just say hello to whoever's here, and then we can get started. So Mikey's here. Greetings and salutations. Hello. Hey, Bobby and company. There you go. That's the correct way to say hi to me. Mikey, you haven't been around Daily Fuel for a little while. You haven't learned the correct way. You say hello to me, and then you say hello to everybody else. You don't just give a blanket greeting to everybody, including me. What do you think this is? And Nathan, hey, Bobby, and hello, everyone. There you go. All right, very good. Get off my screen. Let's begin, shall we? You guys can keep commenting the whole time. No, it's too late. Don't say hi to me now. Look what he's trying to do. Hi, Bobby. Hi. No. It's you had your shot. You had your shot. You blew it. Okay, now I'm starting for real. The art of self-sabotage. Why do I call it the art of self-sabotage? I thought about this, and without being like, like I'm just trying to use funny words or anything like that, it really is an art, because in order to sabotage yourself, your ego has to really play some tricks on you, and it is an art. There are nuances to it, and you don't always fall for the same thing. Although, actually, no, that's not true. You kind of do usually fall for the same thing. And not just you. Like, we all do this, by the way. I think this is a universal human thing. Once again, why does the ego do this? Is the ego, I'm not convinced that the ego is this parasite trying to ruin your life. The ego is just trying to keep us breathing. That's really what the job of the ego is. It could just come from that fight or flight response system that we have. Like you're walking through the jungle and all of a sudden, oh my God, there's a tiger, and it's like you get that your heart race goes, and your heart starts racing, and your vision just suddenly, now it's like you hear a noise or something, and you're just focused on it. Like, what is that? And anything else around you is gone. It doesn't matter anymore. The only thing your body, your ego, your response systems cares about is keep breathing and keep being alive. And there's something over there that might not let us do that. So let's figure out what that is, and we focus on it. That's the job of the ego. But we don't have that, we don't really have, hopefully. I hope you don't. That would be horrible if you're like, oh, I'm going to work now, bye, and you're walking out to your car and you just get attacked by a tiger. That would suck. I suppose it could happen. But Hopefully it does not happen. But this we don't live in that kind of world anymore. Most of us live in a first world country, I would assume. So we're kind of used to that now, except we still have this system inside of us. So here's what I mean by the art of self sabotage. When we have, imagine a sine wave. Do you know what a sine wave looks like? It's like an energy wave that does this, right? This is what a sine wave does. And so when you're at the bottom is, if you imagine, like, this is our emotions. We go up, we go down, we go up and down over time with our emotions. And when you're at the bottom, we're going to call this step one. When you're at the bottom, that's like when everything just absolutely sucks. So here are my three things. We're going to have the bottom, we're going to have the middle when you're on your way up, and we're going to have the top. And that's going to be number three. So 1, 2, 3. Okay? It could be an emotional scale. It doesn't have to be a sine wave, but that's just the way my brain works. So, deal with it. So when you're at the bottom of this emotional scale, or at the bottom of this wave, that's when everything kind of sucks. And you realize, like, oh my God, I have been screwing things up. Everything is going wrong. I'm just horrible at this life thing that we're trying to do here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Everybody's got their shit together except me. And if you're anything like me, that's the time when I think a lot of us spiritual people, not most human beings, but us spiritual people, we realize, I haven't been meditating, I haven't been doing this, I haven't been doing any of my energy work, I haven't been very spiritually focused, I've been very lazy in what I'm paying attention to and calibrating to, I've been hanging out with those friends who are just really negative, I've been watching the news a lot, or I've been taking in things that are just really not emotionally good for me, or I haven't been eating right, or anything that you do that is, you just know, when I do this for too long, I hit rock bottom. I am just like, this emotionally, right? This is just the worst for me. And then you start to see crap in your life. You start manifesting a crap that you don't like, and you're just like, what am I doing here, So at that point, that's when I realize I have not been doing my energy work correctly. I haven't been good about it. It's like I might do it one day and skip a day, and do it another day and skip 3 days, and do it another day and skip 3 months, not years. I haven't skipped it for years, and since I started doing it. But I might skip a week. I might skip a couple of weeks when I'm really not paying attention to things. And now, since I'm hitting this bottom of the barrel, that's when I decide to say, you know what? I am committing myself to doing it every single day. This is oh my God, if you get me out of this, I promise I will never do that other thing again for the rest of forever. And then as soon as you get out of it, you do that thing again, because that's what we do. But that's number 2. We're at number 1 still. We're at that bottom, and this is when we're promising, I am going to do this every day. I am going to commit myself to meditation, or I'm going to commit myself to exercise, or I'm going to commit myself to whatever emotional activity we know. This isn't willpower and white knuckling, like, I need to lose 20 pounds, so I'm going to eat lettuce for a month. That's not what I'm talking about here. This is when I know I need to be meditating, and I need to make that my full-time job, and then anything else I do for my business is on top of that. But if I'm not doing that, then I know that all the action in the world isn't getting me anywhere, obviously, because here I am at the bottom of the sine wave, or at the bottom of the emotional scale. So I am going to commit myself now to doing the energy work, the meditation. For me, it's meditation. That meditation work every day, and that's going to be my foundational work. Well, a funny thing happens when I do that. When I do that, I immediately start feeling better. Within a day or two, I feel much better. Emotionally, emotions are the first manifestation. I felt really bad. Bad things were happening. I just felt like things were falling apart. I've committed myself now to getting back to my meditations every day. And the first manifestation that I feel is I start to feel better. I start to feel a little more optimistic. Now, why is that? Because you're slowing down the momentum of all the negative stuff. And I'm going to explain that in a minute when I get to number 3. you're slowing down the momentum of all the negative stuff, and then the momentum goes in the other direction. You start to pick up momentum in the positive direction. Because when you're doing that energy work every day, you might not be changing the world around you, the physical world around you immediately, but you are pre-paving yourself to get to a better physical future. And that physical future might be in a week or in a month or in a couple of months. Well, I'm not talking about like if I meditate now, in 40 years, everything will be better. No, it might be, my friend Landon and I call it 30, 60, 90. It might be in 30 days, it might be in 60 days, it might be in 90 days, but it's probably going to be on the shorter side if you do this more often. So this is number one. The bottom of the barrel emotionally, you commit yourself to the energy work and you start to feel a little bit better. And now it starts going up, right? You start going up the emotional ladder and you get to number two. This is where you start to notice improvements around in the physical world. You start to see, not only am I feeling better emotionally and do I believe that I'm moving in the right direction finally, but I'm starting to notice that some of those physical manifestations are getting a little bit better. Maybe that horrible thing that I thought was going to happen, it wasn't so horrible after all. Or that horrible thing that I thought was going to happen just didn't happen. Or I got a good thing happen, It's like, oh, look at that. That's great, And it doesn't matter where these manifestations lie. It doesn't matter what category we're talking about. This is the same whether it's about money, about relationships, about health, about anything. I mean, those are the three big ones. But then you can nitpick things inside of them. So it doesn't really matter, because as soon as you start doing this emotional energy work, you start going up the emotional ladder now, or up that sine wave that I described, and you start to notice improvements. You'll start to notice things. You'll start to notice coincidences. Somebody will mention something. An interesting thing will happen. Anything. And it might not solve all your problems, but you start to notice, this is what happens to me. I start to notice this, and I start to notice that, and then this happens, and then this person calls me, and then I set this thing up. And now I know, whoa, not only am I moving up the emotional scale, but I'm moving up the physical manifestation scale. I can expect some good shit pretty soon. Yay, right? So this is the point when we need to double down on the energy work. It's like, oh, it's working. I should really double commit to it. I'm not going to skip a day. I'm not going to ever stop doing this. But what do we do? Oh, it's working. Maybe I don't need to do it so hard anymore. I can skip a day, or I can relax about it. Or that one, I don't really have a lot of time today, so I'll do a quick meditation. That's what we start to do. We start to slow down the energy work. And the funny thing is, when you slow down the energy work, the physical manifestations don't slow down immediately. They didn't come in immediately, and they don't slow down immediately. So when you take a day off from meditating or doing whatever your energy work is, and you don't notice that the world just fell apart in one day, you think, it was no big deal, except the world's going to fall apart in a week. That's because that's how it works. It comes later. It comes later, and we forget it. Now we're at the top. We've moved up. We're at the top, or as high as we allow ourselves to go. Maybe not the top, but we get to about as high as we're comfortable getting. And this is when the real sinister part happens, because this is when your ego is realizing, ooh, if my person, me for me, you for you, right? If my guy gets too high up this emotional scale, I'm going to die. The ego, it doesn't have a thing anymore. The ego won't need to persist. So the ego's got to stop you from getting past this high point, whatever your high point is. The ego's going to say to you, and it's going to make you think things like, this is working really well. I don't need to do this every single day. I don't have a lot of time today, and I really need to just get right to the work. So I'm going to skip the meditation or the energy work today, and I'm going to go right to the action. I'm going to get right to the action. I got meetings, I got this, I got that, whatever your thing is, right? Or on the flip side, it could be, hey, you know what? You're doing really great, and you cut out all that crappy stuff that you know isn't good for you, but you cut it all out and things are going pretty good. Maybe you can let it back in a little bit. Maybe you can, for me, it's the news. Maybe you can start looking at the news again. Maybe you can read some headlines. Maybe you can see what's going on in the world, because as soon as I do, I look at that stuff, I go, and then I'm like, why do I care? This doesn't help me at all. And if I go a month without knowing anything and then I look again, it's all the same shit, and it didn't matter whether I knew it the whole time or not. is that's the truth for me, right? So, but it could be anything. It could be, hey, you haven't been eating that food for a while. You really like that food. Go ahead and have some. Don't worry about it. You can do it. It's great. Or you don't have to meditate quite so much. You've been doing it for a half an hour a day, or an hour a day, or 90 minutes a day, or whatever, right? Maybe cut it down to 5 minutes, or maybe just once a week. You don't have to work so hard at this. And that's why I say it's a sine wave rather than just an emotional scale. Because if you think about it over time, your life kind of goes like this over time, right? Born, and you go up and you go down, right? Now I'm a kid, and blah, 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 and it just goes up and down, up and down, up and down forever until you're fucking dead, right? And that's how it goes. But it doesn't have to keep going down. It could just go up, 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 up. If we would just stop sabotaging ourselves. And that's why I call this an art. Because your ego constantly has to trick you into thinking, hey, it's going pretty good. You don't have to do that anymore. And you go, oh, you're right. And you stop doing the stuff that made it get up here. And then you go back down again. And then you get down here and you go, oh, I got to do that stuff. Why did I ever stop? And you go back up again. And then you get up here and you go, hey, things are pretty good. I don't have to do that stuff anymore. And you go back down. And it goes on and on. And it sounds ridiculous. Except if you think about it, that's what we all do. Don't do that. that's the lesson. So let's see what we got here. Oh man. All right, Mikey's going to get kicked out of the group because he doesn't know how to greet me correctly. Christina and Nathan, I said hi to you guys. And hi, Bobby. Nice try. Hi, how are you? It's great to see you, buddy. Ray says, is it polite to comment while a being is talking, even a furry little one? Yeah, I like the comments while I'm talking. Keep them coming. Christina, hello, says, I'm very bad about keeping up with meditating. Yeah, here's the thing about meditating. I'm going to give you a little trick. This is what worked for me. See if this works for you. And this is why I don't really teach people tactics, because tactics don't work the same for everybody. Do it at 9 o'clock, sitting in a hard wooden chair, and that might work for me, and that's not how I do it. But this particular way, or listening to this person's voice, might be a great thing for you. Might work for this one and not work for that one. Tactics or whatever. But here's the thing: when you think about meditation, decide what meditation is for you personally. For me, it's I have a few different ones, and I have to decide which one is going to work for me now. Because sometimes I can sit and listen to a guided meditation. This is my headphones. I can sit and put headphones on in the dark, and I can listen to some music or a guided meditation, and I can get just really calm and into it. And I can feel that buzzy feeling throughout my body, right? And I know that I'm like getting there, and this is really working for me. 15 minutes usually isn't enough. I need a good half hour minimum when I'm doing this. Some days, though, I am fidgety, and I just know, like, I am not in the space for this kind of meditation. But I don't skip my energy work. Instead, I know that I need to have what I call an active meditation or a walking meditation. I'll get up, I'll shine a light on my whiteboard, and I'll talk out loud to my inner being, who I call David, and I talk with him out loud, because if you talk in your head, then you're getting your ego in the mix. Out loud, you got your soul. Because if your ego starts saying stuff, you realize it sounds ridiculous immediately. When you hear it with your ears, you know it sounds ridiculous. When you hear it in your head, it makes perfect sense. Of course I should stop doing this. It's working. I don't need to do it anymore. No, idiot, you got to keep doing it. But I'll do like a walking meditation, and I just call it walking because I'm standing up and walking around the room. And I'll write stuff on my whiteboard, and I'll talk out loud to David, and sometimes that's the kind of meditation that works for me. But here's the trick. The trick is I started calling that time my gift to myself. I said, I need to give this to myself. It is a gift I am giving myself, because I'm a busy guy. I ain't got time for this shit. I don't have time to sit here like this for an hour. I don't. I got a lot of crap to do, except that I learned the hard way that if I skip the meditation and go right to doing all that crap I got to do, I don't get it done, or I don't get it done very well. And when I do the meditation and then go do the action work, I get it done really fast. Or I get it done really well. Or it turns out there isn't that much. I can get really overwhelmed with how much I have to do when I skip my meditations. But when I do my meditation and now I technically I have less time to get all this stuff done. It's much easier. It just is. So I started to think of it as this is a gift to myself, and I'm not going to worry about doing anything else until I do this. And now I do it first thing in the morning. I wake up and I get washed up, I make my coffee, I take a shower, I get dressed, I come down to my office and I meditate. And I don't do anything else until I do that. So try that. See if that works for you. Who was that? That was Christina. I'm very bad about keeping up with meditating. Don't think of it as like this rule. Like, I don't like doing this, then don't do that. Meditating for you could be going for a walk. It could be yoga. It could be anything. Figure out what it is. You owe yourself that. Ray, being committed, yeah, several times a week. Oh, wait, that's probably not what you meant. What? I know there's a joke in there, and I've lost the context, so I apologize. Robin's here. Hello, Bobby, and hello, fellow amazing artists. See, Mikey, this is how you do it, buddy. And she even gives me flowers. I mean, Robin, you're my favorite of everybody in the group. Don't tell anybody, right? And so there you go. That's that. Christina, it's like being at the bottom and having a catastrophe thinking, as my therapist It's like being at the bottom and having catastrophe thinking, as my therapy called it. I was recently doing that. Since I have changed my perspective on that, I see things in a more realistic and positive light. Wow, catastrophe thinking. That's really what it is. Your ego sees everything as a potential catastrophe, or even as an actual catastrophe. Because remember, the ego's job is to keep you alive. So it's not gonna. If you're worried that there's literally a wild animal about to jump out of the bushes and eat you, you're not going to be like, nah, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You're going to be fucking, oh my God, I got to light a fire and get the spear, and do I have a gun? I don't know what, whatever you do with tigers. And I need a better example than tigers. I feel like that's everybody's example, but you know what I mean, And the catastrophe thinking, that's where now an event happens. Now we're kind of at that bottom. We're at the bottom of that thing, right? We're at the bottom. And you start to notice the negative manifestations, where it could be a relationship thing or a health thing. Maybe you're not feeling good, your back hurts a little, or whatever thing you get that like, oh, that's the first thing, the thing in your head or in your arm or your back or your leg or your knee, right? And or it could be a money thing, or it could be a relationship thing where you're bickering all the time and you don't understand why everyone's an asshole, right? It's like these are the things that happen, except the catastrophe thinking is on top of that, because the catastrophe thinking is where now your brain goes into overdrive, expecting it to get worse, expecting what that means. What does this mean? Ow, I think I'm going to be dead in a week. It's like, or oh, the client canceled the project. What does that mean? Well, clearly it means I'm going to be homeless in a month. No, none of these things are the truth. It's the fear that we elevate it to. We elevate this fear to the heights, the highest possible heights, so that your ego is trying to kick you into overdrive to fix it. There's no fixing it. There's no fixing it in that state. There is no fixing it. It only will get perceptually worse and worse and worse. Not actually worse and worse and worse. Perceptually worse and worse. We will just imagine it getting worse and worse. We will worry about it getting worse and worse. And it will feel like this is just what life is. It's hard. It's just hard. It's hard, and it gets worse. And if it ever gets easier, it doesn't last very long. It gets hard right away. And that's catastrophe thinking. Don't do that. That's what I say to everything, right? Robin, physical manifestation scale. I like that. Did I say that? Well, that's a good one. I like that. I'm stealing that. Did I say it? If I'm stealing it from myself. Nathan, what's up, buddy? A white knuckle until I hit rock bottom emotionally. I white knuckle until I hit rock bottom emotionally, and then I usually do my meditating, get back on my feet. Yeah, this is the cycle, right? I've always believed that suffering has built more champions. That whole saying has what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Let's talk about that for a second, okay? Suffering builds more champions. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. No pain, no gain. I'm not a big fan of those expressions. I got to be honest with you. And I think that there's some value in them because, but I think what happens is it creates this mentality that we need to do that in order to go higher and higher. And I don't believe that we do. I really, truly do not. The idea of what did you say? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. This idea that it's almost the ego's way of letting you think you beat him or her, right? Because you want to get over this, and the ego is going to let you think like, well, didn't kill you and you beat me. Good for you. That's chalk one up for you, and now you're moving up the scale. And then what happens is we think that in order to move up more, we need to suffer. And so we only create future suffering for ourselves. We want to go higher, and the only way you can go higher is through suffering and catastrophe. So therefore, I must create suffering and catastrophe for myself to go higher. It only perpetuates the suffering. There's no reason to do that. You can switch your thinking around and just be like, there is value in not suffering. I don't need to go through all of this. I think we believe that because we see so many people who come out the other side and then teach you how to get there too, which is fine. But it just creates this mentality that unless you really go down, you're not going up. That then you're just kind of stuck here. You know, I hadn't considered this today. I'd like to think more on that and maybe do I'm gonna write this down. No pain, no gain. I know what that means. That's a future daily fuel right there. That's Nathan. So I'm just gonna put a pin in that, Nathan. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just because to me it was always like I saw the hardships of entrepreneurship as a badge of honor. I used to call it that we were all like, this is hard, and we're doing it together, and we're marching arms locked, and it's like we're struggling and struggling and struggling. Why are we doing that? We're opting into this. We don't need to, and I'd like to give it some thought and explain why we don't need to. But thank you so much for that thing. I usually meditate to serve a purpose. Well, this does serve a purpose because the idea here is that meditating or whatever your energy work is, that is putting you in a good state of mind, a good emotional place. It's creating brain-heart coherence so that your energy field is expanding and you are creating a future that you actually want. If you did that every day, and every day you worked on creating a future that you actually wanted, what would happen? You would get a future that you actually wanted. But if you did it for a little while, and then you stopped, and then you did it for a little while, and then you stopped, and then you did it for a little while, and then you stopped, what would happen? You would create a little bit of a future that you wanted, and then you would create a future that I call it by default. Because if you just stop, that doesn't necessarily mean you're only going to get negative things. But if you stop, now you're not paying attention to how you feel. And you could feel good, you could feel bad. So you're getting a little bit of both. So most people live their entire lives by default. They feel good when something good happens. And they feel bad when something bad happens. And they're just constantly getting good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. And when you do that, that's when you start to believe, boy, this is fucking hard. Sometimes it's good, but a lot of the times it's bad. This just sucks. Life just blows, you know, and it's like that's that feeling. But if you're doing meditation half the time, and you are only attracting a good future, and the other half you're getting a default future, and let's just say that a default future is half good and half bad, well, that's still 75% good and 25% bad, so I'll take that. That's better. But imagine if you did the meditation all the time with the purpose of creating the future you want. That's what I'm suggesting. Do that. Or don't. You don't have to do it my way. I'm just saying this is a way to do it. Robin, sounds like a schizophrenic. Hang on, Robin. I need some water before I read your comments. Sounds like a schizophrenic who are okay as long as they take their meds. So they stop the meds thinking they don't need them. And then, boom, they crash at the bottom and realize for someone else, or someone else does for them, that they really need the meds again. And it cycles over and over and over and over again. Yeah, so to spec. Like you are describing. Yes, it's a lot like that. Sometimes it's that you need to do something, and when it's working, you stop doing it, and then you cycle down. The opposite is also true. You need to not do a thing. For me, it's like I should not be paying attention to the news. There's no place for it in my life, because anytime that I do, I just get frustrated and annoyed, and it doesn't matter who wins what or who says this or none of it matters. I swear to God, I haven't looked at anything in like a month. And then if I looked at it right now, it would be the same crap as a month ago, and it wouldn't make a difference. But it makes a difference to me whether or not I'm paying attention, because when I am paying attention, I start to get on that defaultish scale. I get some good, some bad. I didn't have my purpose set. I didn't know what the heck where I was trying to go. When I say I don't have room for that, I'm going to spend all that time and energy meditating and creating the life that I actually want. Well, that's when this idea for this business finally came through. That's when everything that I've been working on for the past year and a half finally came through. And I was just like, here it is. Holy shit, I did it. That's how it works. So yeah. About meditation or meditation work. I'm sure you're clarifying something you said in that last comment, but I think I got it. Richard, hey buddy, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Haha, you described that so well, I think. The ups and downs. I think because everything is energy in the form of frequency. Yep, and frequencies always fluctuate, then it makes sense to me that we fluctuate too. Hi, Sir Bobby and team. Oh, okay. I'll take the salutation at the end. That's allowable. I'll allow it. Good one. Yeah, that's why I use a sine wave rather than the energy scale, because to me the sine wave is the scale. It's the up and down, but it's over time, because we go up and we go down, but we don't go up and down in the same moment. We experience time. So we have a good day, we have a bad day. We have a good day, we have a bad day. And what I'm suggesting here is that if we are conscious of how we sabotage ourselves, wow, things are going great. I can stop doing all that shit I did that made it great. That's what the art of self sabotage sounds like. And doesn't that sound weird? I am doing so good. It's like, imagine you have a kid, right, who's been doing really great in school. And you're all happy about that. Wow, you're doing so great in school. Why don't you just stop studying now and just coast through the rest of the year? Oh, they'll coast through the rest of the year and their grades will go like this. And you know that makes perfect sense, right? Hey, wow, you're doing so great at work. Why don't you just not show up for a couple of weeks and see what happens? Yeah, you get fired, right? I mean, we understand this in many practical senses, but when we apply it to our emotions, we don't understand it because we don't necessarily always attach the emotions that we're feeling now to the future that we get now later. And we don't realize that I feel great now, and then through time, and now I'm getting good stuff. But as opposed to I feel really shitty now, and you move through time and you get shitty stuff. So do the energy work to feel good, and then do that again, and then do that again, and then do that again, and do it every fucking day. And you'll just always feel good. And then before you know it, you'll have reasons to feel good outside yourself. You'll have the money. You'll have the relationships. You'll have the health. You'll have the everything. But we don't do that. Christina Bartley. Robin's giving you a thumbs up, Christina. That's a big deal. If it's in quotes, that's what it means that you said it. I know. I don't remember saying it. And now I don't remember what you said I said. You get me every time, Robin. The flowers, thank you. And Ray says, context. Pain in the ass when you don't pay attention. Being committed, not committed to... Oh, being committed. I understand. I knew you were doing a sarcastic joke. I just didn't know what it was in relation to. Not committed to something you need to do, but committed. as in like straight jacket, right? You know, the kind with fancy jackets. Okay, good. I understand. I got you, Ray. Oh, I get it. All right. I don't know what you're talking about there, unless you mean Ray's thing. Here's a Facebook user. Let's see who this is. Haven't had one of these. It's Jason. Jason, you got to click that link for me, buddy. I'll tag you on it again. Be true to yourself. Embrace your ego. Love your shadows. Step out of your comfort zone. And before you're there and moving on to the next event in your life, success is the journey. Be true to yourself. Embrace your ego. Embrace your ego. You know, I'm just going to harp on that one line because the ego, we've been kind of hard on the ego lately, but the ego is actually, you can bring your ego along for the ride. And if you can soothe your ego, and your ego is not a vampire trying to kill you. Your ego is trying to protect you, but your ego is like a little kid. And if a little kid were acting up, imagine driving in a car and you're driving and you got a little kid, and the little kid sees all the other cars on the road, and it's like, oh my God, that car's gonna hit us, right? Oh my God, that car's gonna hit us, and is deathly afraid that every car on the road is gonna hit you, and doesn't realize that they're just other people driving on the road. But you're the grown-up, and you know this. What we do is we look at all these cars that this little kid in the car next to us is afraid of, and we go, fuck, a car! Oh my God, another one! And we're like reacting to all these cars because the kid in the car with us is freaked out by them. We don't have to do that because because we're doing that in our heads. If we were doing that out loud, we would realize that's ridiculous. And we could just say to the child, you don't have to say shut the fuck up because kids don't relate to that. But you could just say, hey, listen, I understand that you're afraid of those cars, but you know how we're going to the store? Well, they're going to the store too. They're not going to drive into us. No one's going to hurt you and nothing's going to hit you. So just relax about it. And the ego might be like, I don't believe you, but I'll listen because you're a grown-up and sometimes you're smart. So your ego might just listen a little bit. And if you can prove it to your ego, and then you can point out, hey, remember how you were afraid of that thing? And see how it didn't really, the world didn't come to an end? Your ego will get on board. Your ego will get on board, but you have to treat your ego the way you would treat a child. And where some of us are used to speaking to our inner beings, used to talking to our souls, or we at least kind of have this idea that we can, you can do the same with your ego. Imagine that it's a part of you that you can go, hey, listen to me. You can talk to it. And then you can play the part of the ego too and be like, okay, I know I usually get afraid of these things, but do I have to be this afraid of it? Seriously, play the part of your ego and just be like, I don't have to be this afraid of it. I see your point. You can play both parts. So thanks for saying that. Embrace your ego. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Robin, I agree totally with Christina. Oh, catastrophe thinking. Yeah, okay. About catastrophic thinking. I did it in spades for way too long, way too much. Every little setback made me think all the further steps that eventually led to ultimate disaster. Right, everything we're talking about. If I got a citation for a repair or a violation by my HOA and I couldn't decide on a contractor, then I'd get fined and the HOA could put a lien on my house and I'd lose my house. I'll be homeless and then my association would. I thought there'd be another comment. Okay, I see what you're saying. You're explaining the idea here. It started with a little citation to fix that fence, and you take this thing like, oh my God, my HOA, that's Homeowners Association, if you don't know. My Homeowners Association, the group of people with whom I live in this community, are suggesting I need to fix my fence. If I don't, they can put a lien on my house, and then I could lose my house, and then I'm homeless, and oh my God, all because your fence is broken. Now, your ego freaks out about that. Your ego sees the car driving next to you and is freaked out that this person is going to drive into you or start shooting with a gun or some shit, right? And the HOA comes to your house and is just like, hey, do us a favor. You got to fix your fence. Here's a citation. You have 90 days, or something like that. And now you're just going, I can't deal with this. Now, Robin's problem may seem trivial to you. You may think, like, what's the big deal? Just hire a contractor and fix the fence, or just go out there and fix it yourself, or move. Or, you can think of a million things because you don't have the issues that she has. You don't look at the cars driving next to you the way that Robin looks at the cars. I'm sure that I talk about things sometimes with my business, and there are some of you out there going like, "What's with this guy and his business?" You know, it's like because I don't have these issues with my wife, say, or my children. Those aren't my bucket. Those aren't my things. I don't have health problems. I have things that affect me emotionally. When I stop doing my energy work, when I stop doing my meditation, that's where my catastrophic thinking starts looking at my business going like, oh, I'm doing it wrong, you know? And I start to see problems that don't exist. For Robin, it's with her home. For you, it could be with anything else. It could be your health. It could be anything at all. But that's a really good example of it, Robin. Thank you for that. Christina, using appropriate coping skills to manifest the positive impact you want to see in your life while dealing with the ego in a healthy manner that ends up working for you instead of against you. That was a sentence? That was one sentence. Okay. By the way, you guys are allowed to use commas and punctuation. It's totally allowed. Robin, you could use less, but everybody else could use some. Robin, you're hoarding the punctuation. Thank God Amy's not here today. She'll write like 10 times that amount, one sentence. That's it. Using appropriate coping skills to manifest the positive impact you want to see in your life while dealing with the ego in a healthy manner. Yes. Okay. So what you're saying is it's a two-way street, right? It could be remember to meditate and remember to, or whatever your energy work is. But for me, it's meditate. Remember to do that part, but you can also soothe your ego. Imagine the ego as a child that just needs soothing. You gotta comfort the child. Don't kick the child in the teeth when he's down, because he'll fight back and he'll dig his heels in and he will fight to the death to be right. Your ego is a right fighter and wants to be right, but will listen to you if you talk like an adult, because it's you. It's you. You know how to talk to you. You know how to calm yourself down. You don't have to calm other people's egos down. Don't try that. That doesn't work. They got to do it themselves. Nathan says, I always try to do something that sucks every day just to say I overcome something that day. That is, wow. That's an interesting, that's an interesting little challenge for yourself there. I always try to do something that sucks every day just to say I overcame something that day. I would need more context on that to really, because I did one called Eat the Frog, right? Where I said, if you've got a thing that you have to do, then you know you got to do it. It's a responsibility thing, or it's a thing you got to do for your business or your client, whatever. It doesn't matter. Do it first. You know, like wake up in the morning, get rid of it, get it off your plate. After you meditate, of course, right? But that's interesting. You know what? I'm going to have to think about your comments today and put them into a different daily fuel. Try not trying. Try not trying. Yeah. Well, what I think you're saying here is that sometimes we try to fix things with action work, you know, and then even sometimes trying to get back to meditating. Oh, I need to get to my meditation, you know, and it's like, and now you're forcing yourself. I might try to force myself to do the kind of meditation that isn't working for me right now. I might try to force myself. I have to just sit in the dark with my headphones on and listen to this and do this for 90 minutes. And I might just want to scratch my eyes out, you know, during that, because it's just not the thing for me to be doing right now. You know who always knows what you need to do right now is your soul, your inner being, your spirit. You can just ask for guidance and just be like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what I should be doing. And maybe sometimes the answer is to just literally do nothing and go to sleep, or just watch TV for a little while, or read a book, or go for a walk. Just shut it down. Try not trying. I like that, Mikey. Thanks for that reminder. Okay. Be true to yourself. This is Jason again. Be true to yourself. Embrace your ego. Love your... Didn't you write that? Is this the same one? This is the same one. Okay. I'm scared. Did you do that twice? I don't know. It came up twice. I'm scared of not trying. Last time I didn't try, I turned into a drug addict. I'm scared. Okay. All right. So here's... All right. I am not a psychologist, and I'm not even sitting with you, but here's what I'm reading today, okay? It's sounding to me like you have come up with some kind of way that when I do it like this, it keeps me from doing drugs. Do it. Because doing drugs is probably worse. So I'm not standing here saying, Nathan, this attitude is completely incorrect. I'm reading Facebook comments with no punctuation here, so I don't really know exactly what you're saying in context to what you probably wrote this 15 minutes ago. So I'm not going to stand here, and I will never stand here and tell anybody that the way you meditate or the way you do energy work is wrong. Because if you can tell me that this works for me to make me feel better, then that's great. What I read this comment, I always try to do something that sucks every day just to say I overcame something that day. What struck me is that doing that would never work for me as energy work. But for all I know, that's the greatest energy work in the world for Nathan. Who am I to say that it's not? I would never say that. So if I came across that way, I apologize. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And let's explore it. Let's explore that here. I would like to explore it, but I haven't given it any thought for a daily fuel, and I would like to. So if you're scared of not trying... last time I didn't try, I turned into a drug addict. Yeah, so if this thing is working for you, then by all means, keep doing it. By all means, keep doing it. Okay. Is this Jason again? Who is this? Jason, okay. Oh, it says Gemini is watching. Hello. How are you? I don't know if you've commented, but it just says you're watching. So since I know that you're watching, hello. Nice to see you. Or not. Hang on. All right. Oh, goodness. Look at this. See, Robin doesn't just end a sentence with a period. She uses ... What are those called? There's a name for those. If I was homeless, I'd be on the streets, cold and hungry, etc. We're back to the homeowners association thing. But finally, thank God, I learned that it was all in my mind. I was exaggerating the negative and minimizing the positive and ignoring the actual truth. Yes, that I usually do figure out how to solve problems, so don't fret. I learned to recognize the false thinking that was poisoning my mind and learned to rely on the actual truths. Thank goodness for therapy. There you go. There you go. It's about understanding that. If you're creating negative situations, a little thing happens, and in our brains, we let that little kid seeing all the cars freak out and explain a scenario in which every car crashes into us at once and they all explode and we're dead in a fiery explosion of hell, and that's what your ego is worried about. And we will create scenarios in our mind so that we can figure out how to avoid them. And usually the avoidance is action work. It's well, if I do this, if I call this person, if I go here, if I ask them this, if I do this, if I hide this way, if I run this way, if I fight this way. And we're fighting against or hiding from situations that aren't actually happening and probably won't happen, and because we're making it all up in our heads. Christina gets 2 thumbs up from Robin today. That's nice. I like doing dishes as an example. They suck. I hate doing dishes, but I know conflicts delayed is conflicts multiplied. Well, the dishes have to be done. I mean, you can't meditate your way to not doing the dishes. It's like, oh, I have a sink full of dirty dishes. Let me meditate, and when I open my eyes, they're gone. Unless you've got people coming in and doing it, that's something that has to be done physically by somebody. So yeah, I'm all into that. It sounds to me like what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I don't like doing this thing and I don't like doing this thing, but they're things that need to be done. So I'm going to do them. But when you said I give myself tasks that I don't like every day, so I can say I overcame it. Like I would never suggest like putting your finger in a vise and squeezing it until your finger breaks. And it's like, hey, I overcame that. It grew back. Like, why did you do that to yourself? But if it's about like doing the dishes or just doing this chore or taking care of this thing that's not really my favorite thing, but it needs to be done, I'm all for that. That's awesome. Don't put your finger in vices is what I'm trying to say. Christina, one of my biggest self-sabotaging behaviors is being too hard on myself, comma, and expecting myself to be further along than I actually am. Period. See? That's a sentence. Now, if I weren't being so sarcastically funny, I would have actually paid attention to that sentence, so I'm going to read it again. One of my biggest self-sabotaging behaviors is being hard on myself and expecting myself to be further along than I actually am. Yeah. That's not unusual. A lot of us do that. Having unrealistic expectations for myself always sets me back. Yeah, and isn't that interesting? Because we create, let's not even call them unrealistic. Let's call it this. Let's say you have expectations. You have things you want, right? It's okay to want something that's unrealistic. All unrealistic means is that you don't know how to get there. That's all it means. You don't know how to get there. Unrealistic doesn't mean impossible. Because even things that are impossible turned out sometimes to be possible. It was absolutely impossible for human beings to move faster than the speed of sound. And only a few years before that happened, it was absolutely impossible for human beings to fly. Except we did both of those things in the same century, within a few years of each other. And then it was absolutely impossible to go into space, and then it was absolutely impossible to go to the moon, and all the things that were absolutely impossible to do and unrealistic to achieve have been achieved, to run a 4-minute mile. Nobody could do that, except now lots of people do that. And once the first person does it, other people learn how to do it. Now, for most of us, the unrealistic goals that we have, they aren't even impossible. They're things that we probably see other people doing. I have this unrealistic goal of having this perfect relationship or something. Lots of people have great relationships. That's not unrealistic or impossible. You just don't know how to do it. I have this unrealistic goal of this injury healing or this disease going away or becoming a millionaire or whatever your freaking thing is, right? These things are not unrealistic. Lots of people achieve all this stuff all the time. And you could even know people that have done it. The reason things feel unrealistic is because at this point in my life, I don't know how to do it. So when we're trying something, try not to try, as Mikey said. When we start trying things, our ego is just like, well, if that's your goal, let's go. And you start running around and banging things and trying to make it happen. And it doesn't work. And then you just feel like, I'm such a loser. I watched that person do it. I'm going to give you a practical example here. I'm running this launch to sell my courses right now. And one of the courses is my Be a Rock Star, the Art of Audience Attraction course. This isn't a sales pitch. Listen to this. And if you pay attention to that course, most of what I teach in that course is mindset. Because I know lots of people who teach entrepreneurs tactics. For example, here's how to run Facebook ads. Great. If you don't know anything about Facebook ads, a lot of times those kinds of tactical courses are wonderful because they teach you the basics. It's like you don't even know how to log into your ads account. Okay, well, there's only one way to do that, except that people will look into courses that are tactical courses and hope that if I learn this tactic, if I learn this skill, if I follow this step by step and do it exactly as the thing suggests, I will get to this goal. The problem is that most of these unrealistic goals that we have in life, they're not like building an IKEA piece of furniture. You can't just follow the instructions that somebody else did and get the same result. Because if your mind isn't there, the person who got that result, they're probably meditating every day. And they're already pre-paving for a great future. Except if you're down at number one, if you didn't see the sine wave thing, if you're catching this at the end and you didn't see the sine wave thing, number one is at the bottom, the emotional bottom. If you're down at number one, or you're just coasting down to number one because you've stopped meditating and now all I need is the tactics. And then you try it and it doesn't work for you, but it worked for them. I don't understand, because you're in two different mindsets. Tactics only work within the mindset that you're in. So when you think to yourself, I have set an unrealistic goal for myself, I tried the tactics this one teaches. I tried the tactics my friend said to do. I tried the tactics that I tried a couple of years ago that used to work and now they don't anymore. I tried the tactics that I read in this book. Doesn't matter. It's not working, and it's not because your goal is unrealistic. It's because you are not energetically aligned to it. Go meditate and then do it again. Try it again. I bet sometimes the same tactics work beautifully when you're mentally and emotionally aligned to them. So just to kind of, what did you say there? My biggest self-sabotaging behaviors is being too hard on myself. Well, that's the other thing, because then you think my goal is unrealistic, which means I can't set good goals. I'm a loser there. No matter what I do, it doesn't work, and I'm a loser. You're kicking your own ass. You're kicking your own ass, and you can't get ahead doing that. You have to remind yourself, I am awesome. Remember what we said the other day? Literally to you. Would you teach your kid this? Would you say to your kid, you're a loser, clearly. Stop setting such unrealistic goals. You don't want to get those grades in school. You're a C student. Just be, or maybe that's not your thing. You don't want to learn how to do this, or you don't want these friends to like you. Don't try to get in with the cool kids. You're a nerd kid. I don't know what I'm talking about. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, those people aren't going to like you. Go find people who will like you. Or you're not good enough to be an artist. You're a crappy artist. You should just do finger painting in the dark room. We would never say these things to our children, but we say them to ourselves. And if you do say these things to your children, please don't. It's counterproductive. Self-sabotage is self-judgment. Yes. Recuse the judge for conflict of interest. Oh, I like that. Dude, you're coming up with some guy. You are redeeming yourself for the crappy salutations today. But I like this one. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Any kind of type 2 words, we'll always have a language barrier. Oh, all right. I know where you're going with this. All right, because you can't see my body gestures or hear my tone. Yeah. Right. That's why I don't like, I never, by the way, I try never to have an argument with somebody over text. I don't even like to try to persuade somebody of something over text because the nuances of your tone, they don't come through, I don't know if you ever noticed, but I can be a little sarcastic and facetious at times. That doesn't come through in text, and people might think that you're serious, So what he's saying here is that, I'm reading what he's saying on these comments, and I'm reading them out of context because he's talking about something I said 5 minutes ago. And I don't know exactly what he's talking about. So I try not to get too into it. Words, LOL. Yeah, I know. Any kind of typed words. Okay. I got you now. We'll always have a language barrier because you can't hear my tone or see my body gestures. Yes, exactly. Very good. Okay. Phew, we got to the last comment. So, that's it. How long is this one? Oh, wow, an hour. Okay, good. Well, guys, that's Daily Fuel. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it as always. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And Nathan, you can have the booby prize today since you're the last comment on my screen. All right, guys, have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.